In microorganisms. Bacteria. Mating in bacteria involves transfer of DNA from one cell to another and incorporation of the transferred DNA into the recipient bacteria's genome by homologous recombination. Transfer of DNA between bacterial cells can occur in three main ways. First, a bacterium can take up exogenous DNA released into the intervening medium from another bacterium by a process called transformation. DNA can also be transferred from one bacterium to another by the process of transduction, which is mediated by an infecting virus bacteriophage. The third method of DNA transfer is conjugation, in which a plasmid mediates transfer through direct cell contact between cells. Transformation, unlike transduction or conjugation, depends on numerous bacterial gene products that specifically interact to perform this complex process. 23 And thus transformation is clearly a bacterial adaptation for DNA transfer. In order for a bacterium to bind, take up and recombine donor DNA into its own chromosome, it must first enter a special physiological state termed natural competence. In Bacillus subtilis about 40 genes are required for the development of competence in DNA uptake. 24 The length of DNA transferred during B subtilis transformation can be as much as a third and up to the whole chromosome. 25-26 Transformation appears to be common among bacterial species, and at least 60 species are known to have the natural ability to become competent for transformation. 27 The development of competence in nature is usually associated with stressful environmental conditions, and seems to be an adaptation for facilitating repair of DNA damage in recipient cells. 28 Archaea. In several species of archaea, mating is mediated by formation of cellular aggregates. Halobacterium volcani, an extreme halophilic archaean, forms cytoplasmic bridges between cells that appear to be used for transfer of DNA from one cell to another in either direction. 29 When the hyperthermophilic archaea Sulfolobus sulfotericus 30 and Sulfolobus acidocaldarius 31 are exposed to the DNA-damaging agents UV irradiation, bleomycin or mitomycin C, species-specific cellular aggregation is induced. Aggregation in S. sulfotericus could not be induced by other physical stressors, such as pH or temperature shift, 30 suggesting that aggregation is induced specifically by DNA damage. Ajan et al. 31 showed that UV-induced cellular aggregation mediates chromosomal marker exchange with high frequency in S. acidocaldarius. Recombination rates exceeded those of uninduced cultures by up to 3 orders of magnitude. Pralls et al. 30 and Ajan et al. 31 hypothesized that cellular aggregation enhances species-specific DNA transfer between Sulfolobus cells in order to provide increased repair of damaged DNA by means of homologous recombination. This response appears to be a primitive form of sexual interaction similar to the more well-studied bacterial transformation systems that are also associated with species-specific DNA transfer between cells leading to homologous recombinational repair of DNA damage. Protists. Protists are a large group of diverse eukaryotic microorganisms, mainly unicellular animals and plants, that do not form tissues. Eukaryotes emerged in evolution more than 1.5 billion years ago. 32 The earliest eukaryotes were likely protists. Mating and sexual reproduction are widespread among extant eukaryotes. Based on a phylogenetic analysis, Dax and Roger 33 proposed that facultative sex was present in the common ancestor of all eukaryotes. However, to many biologists it seemed unlikely until recently, that mating and sex could be a primordial and fundamental characteristic of eukaryotes. A principal reason for this view was that mating and sex appeared to be lacking in certain pathogenic protists whose ancestors branched off early from the eukaryotic family tree. However, several of these protists are now known to be capable of, or to recently have had, the capability for meiosis and hence mating. To cite one example, the common intestinal parasite Giardia intestinalis was once considered to be a descendant of a protist lineage that predated the emergence of meiosis and sex. However, G. intestinalis was recently found to have a core set of genes that function in meiosis and that are widely present among sexual eukaryotes. 34 These results suggested that G. intestinalis is capable of meiosis and thus mating and sexual reproduction. Furthermore, direct evidence for meiotic recombination, indicative of mating and sexual reproduction, was also found in G. intestinalis. 35 Other protists for which evidence of mating and sexual reproduction has recently been described are parasitic protozoa of the genus Leishmania, 36 Trichomonas vaginalis, 37 and Acanthamoeba. 38 Protists generally reproduce asexually under favorable environmental conditions, but tend to reproduce sexually under stressful conditions, such as starvation or heat shock. Viruses. Both animal viruses and bacterial viruses bacteriophage are able to undergo mating. When a cell is mixedly infected by two genetically marked viruses, recombinant virus progeny are often observed indicating that mating interaction had occurred at the DNA level. Another manifestation of mating between viral genomes is multiplicity reactivation, MR. MR is the process by which at least two virus genomes, each containing inactivating genome damage, interact with each other in an infected cell to form viable progeny viruses. Both animal viruses and bacterial viruses bacteriophage are able to undergo mating. When a cell is mixedly infected by two genetically marked viruses, recombinant virus progeny are often observed indicating that mating interaction had occurred at the DNA level. Another manifestation of mating between viral genomes is multiplicity reactivation, MR. MR is the process by which at least two virus genomes, each containing inactivating genome damage, interact with each other in an infected cell to form viable progeny viruses. The genes required for MR in bacteriophage T4 are largely the same as the genes required for allelic recombination. 39 Examples of MR in animal viruses are described in the articles herpes simplex virus, influenza A virus, adenoviridae, simian virus 40, vaccinia virus, and reoviridae. Parental care. Parental care is a behavioral and evolutionary strategy adopted by some animals, involving a parental investment being made to the evolutionary fitness of offspring. Patterns of parental care are widespread and highly diverse across the animal kingdom. 1. There is great variation in different animal groups in terms of how parents care for offspring, and the amount of resources invested by parents. For example, there may be considerable variation in the amount of care invested by each sex, where females may invest more in some species, males invest more in others, or investment may be shared equally. Numerous hypotheses have been proposed to describe this variation and patterns in parental care that exist between the sexes, as well as among species. 2. Swallow adult feeding begging young in the nest. Parental care is any behavior that contributes to offspring survival, such as building a nest, provisioning offspring with food, or defending offspring from predators. Reptiles may produce self-sufficient young needing no parental care, while some hatchling birds may be helpless at birth, relying on their parents for survival. Parental care is beneficial if it increases the parent's inclusive fitness, such as by improving offspring survival, quality, or reproductive success. 3. Since parental care is costly and often affects the parent's own future survival and reproductive success, parents ensure that any investment is well spent. Parental care thus only evolves where it is adaptive. Types of parental care include maternal or paternal care, biparental care and alloparental care. 1. Sexual conflict is known to occur over mating, and further familial conflicts may continue after mating when there is parental care of the eggs or young. For example, conflict may arise between male and female parents over how much care each should provide, conflict may arise between siblings over how much care each should demand, and conflicts may arise between parents and offspring over the supply and demand of care. 4. Although parental care increases the evolutionary fitness of the offspring receiving the care, it produces a cost for the parent organism as energy is expended on caring for the offspring, and mating opportunities may be lost. 5. 6. As this is costly, it only evolves from a when the costs are outweighed by the benefits. 7. Parental care is seen in many insects, notably the social insects such as ants, bees and wasps, in certain fishes, such as the mouthbrooders, widely in birds, in amphibians, rarely in reptiles and especially widely in mammals, which share two major adaptations for care of the young, namely gestation, development of the embryo inside the mother's body, and production of milk. Types. Paternal care. Care of offspring by males may evolve when natural selection favoring parental care is stronger than sexual selection against paternal care. 8. In approximately 1% of bird species, males exclusively provide care after eggs are laid. 9. Male-only care is prevalent in a variety of organisms, including fish and amphibians. The occurrence of paternal care is mostly associated with biparental care in socially monogamous mating systems. The rise of paternal care in primates may be explained by the mating effort and maternal relief hypotheses. The mating effort hypothesis suggests that males may provide care for offspring in an attempt to increase their own mating opportunities and thus enhance their future reproductive success. 10. 11. The maternal relief hypothesis proposes that males provide care to reduce the burdens associated with reproduction for the female, which ultimately generates shorter interbirth intervals and produces more successful offspring. 11. The type of mating system may influence paternity certainty, and therefore the likelihood that a male is caring for his own true offspring. Paternal certainty is relatively high in monogamous pair-bonded species. Males are less likely to be caring for unrelated offspring, therefore a greater prevalence of paternal care tends to exist in association with this mating system. 7. By contrast, paternity certainty is reduced in polygamous species. Males are at greater risk of providing care for unrelated offspring, which therefore compromises their own fitness. 12. In polygynous species, where a single male mates with more than one female, the male's role as a caregiver therefore tends to be reduced. Conversely, males may be exclusively responsible for caring for their offspring in polyandrous species, where a single female mates with more than one male. 8. The evolution of male parental care is particularly rare in non-monogamous species because predominantly, investing effort into mating is more evolutionarily effective for males than providing parental care. 13. 14. One hypothesis regarding the evolution of male parental care in non-monogamous species suggests that parental behavior is correlated with increased siring of offspring. 13. For instance, in mountain gorillas gorilla barangay, males of the upper tertile, regarding their frequency of interaction with young gorillas, regardless of the young's parentage, fathered 5 times more offspring than males of the lower 2 affiliative tertiles. 13. Further, male-burying beetles Microphorus vespiloides attracted 3 times more females when given the opportunity to breed and provide parental care, compared to males that were not presented with a breeding opportunity. 14. Species such as gorilla barangay and Microphorus vespiloides indicate that selection may promote male parental care in non-monogamous species. 13. 14. Maternal care. In mammalian species, female parents possess adaptations that may predispose them to care more for offspring. These adaptations include gestation and the production of milk. In invertebrates, maternal care is known to be a prerequisite for the evolution of permanent family grouping and eusociality. In spiders, permanent sociality is dependent on extended maternal care following hatching. 15. Females of some species of reptiles may remain with their clutch to provide care, by curling around their eggs for the duration of the incubation period. The most intricate example of maternal care in this group can be seen in crocodilian species, as mothers may stay with their young for multiple months. 16. The general mammalian tendency for female parents to invest more in offspring was focused on in the development of early hypotheses to describe sex differences in paternal care. It was initially suggested that different levels of investment by each sex in terms of gamete size and number may have led to the evolution of female-only care. This early hypothesis suggested that because females invest more in the production of fewer and larger gametes, compared with males who produce many, smaller gametes, maternal care would be favored. This is because females have initially invested more, and would thus stand more to lose if they did not continue to invest in the offspring. 17. Biparental care. Biparental care tends to be favored when sexual selection is not intense, and when the adult sex ratio of males to females is not strongly skewed. 18. For two parents to cooperate in caring for young, the mates must be coordinated with each other as well as with the requirements of the developing young, and the demands of the environment. 19. The selection of biparental care as a behavioral strategy is considered to be an important factor driving the evolution of monogamy, if the value of exclusive cooperation and care for mutual offspring by two parents outweighs the potential benefits of polygamy for either sex. 20. Biparental care may increase offspring survival as well as allow parents to gain further mating opportunities with the pair mate. 21. There is conflicting evidence for whether offspring fare equally, better or worse when receiving care by two parents rather a single parent. On one hand, it has been suggested that due to sexual conflict, parents should withhold the amount of care they provide and shift as much of the workload as possible to their partner. In this case, offspring may be worse off. Other experimental evidence contrasts this, and suggests that when both parents care for their mutual offspring, their individual contributions may have synergistic effects on the fitness of their young. In this case, offspring would benefit from biparental care. 22. Biparental care is particularly prevalent in mammals and birds. 23. 90% of bird species are monogamous, in which biparental care patterns are predominant. 19. In birds, this parental care system is generally attributed to the ability of male birds to engage in most parental behaviors, with the exception of egg laying. Due to their endothermy and small size at birth, there is a huge pressure for infant birds to grow up quickly to prevent energy loss. Since both sexes are able to forage and provision offspring, it is therefore beneficial for parents to cooperate in care to meet the requirements of infant birds. Offspring survival will ultimately increase the fitness of both parents. 21. Alloparental care. Alloparental care, caring for non-descendant offspring, is a seemingly altruistic and reproductively costly behavior. It has both adaptive benefits and evident costs. It has been observed in over 120 mammal and 150 bird species. 24. It is a defining feature of eusociality, which is found in insects, including various ants, bees, and termites. 25. It has been. Alloparental care, caring for non-descendant offspring, is a seemingly altruistic and reproductively costly behavior. It has both adaptive benefits and evident costs. It has been observed in over 120 mammal and 150 bird species. 24. It is a defining feature of eusociality, which is found in insects, including various ants, bees, and termites. 25. For mammalian mothers, alloparenting may be beneficial in promoting earlier weaning of infants, as long as earlier weaning does not compromise infant survival. This strategy results in shorter interbirth intervals and increased reproductive success. Frequent alloparenting may provide mothers more opportunities to feed without their young, which may ultimately increase their net energy gains and permits them to invest more energy in milk synthesis. However, potential costs of alloparenting may include the expenditure of time and resources in caring for non-descendant offspring with no apparent direct benefits to alloparents. 26. The offspring that experience alloparental care may benefit from increased protection from predators and the learning of group dynamics through social interactions. 27. In the eusocial insects, the evolution of a caste system has driven workers to sacrifice their own personal reproductive fitness to assist in the reproductive success of the colony. Indirect fitness benefits are gained instead through assisting related members of the colony. 25. It may be in the best interest of a worker to forego her own personal reproduction and participate in alloparenting, or rearing drones, so that there is an enhanced likelihood that males from her colony will ultimately mate with a queen. This would provide a greater chance for her colony's genes to be represented in the future colony. 28. Similarly, worker ants tend to raise their sisters rather than their daughters, due to their greater relatedness. The survival of the colony is believed to be the main reward that drives the altruism of the workers. 29. In groups of animals. Invertebrates. Potter wasp building mud nest for her offspring. Each nest is provisioned with food caught by the mother, one or more eggs are laid inside, and the nest is then sealed. Parental care is not frequently observed in invertebrate species. In dipterans, oviposition is instead commonly observed. Adults lay their eggs before leaving them to hatch and develop into larvae, then pupa, then adults. For example, Formia regina adults lay their eggs preferentially on carrion and corpses. 30. Though biparental and male-only care are rarely observed, female-only care does exist in some invertebrates. 31. 32. Some insects, including the Hymenoptera, ants, bees and wasps, invest substantial effort in caring for their young. The type and amount of care invested varies widely. Solitary wasps such as the potter wasps Eumeninae build nests for their young, provisioning them with food, often caterpillars, caught by the mother. The nests are then sealed, and the young live on the food until they leave the nest as adults. 33. In contrast, social wasps and honeybees raise young in substantial colonies, with eggs laid mainly by queens, mothers, and the young cared for mainly by workers, sisters of the young. 34. Male giant water bug Abetus indentatus with eggs on his back. Outside the Hymenoptera, parental care is found among the burying beetles and the magnificent salt beetle. 35. Many species of Hemiptera take care of their young, for instance in the Belostomatidae genus Abetus. Among arachnids, several groups exhibit parental care. Wolf spiders are known for carrying their young on their abdomens for several weeks after they hatch. Nursery web spiders and some jumping spiders guard their young in silk nests after they hatch. The jumping spider species Toxius magnus is notable for nursing its young through a form of lactation. 36. Some crustaceans also show parental care. Mothers of the crab species Metopolius depressus raises their young in water-filled bromeliads, cleaning them of debris, defending them against predators and feeding them with captured prey. 37. In the desert isopod Hemelepistis riamiri, juveniles share their parents' burrow for the first 10 to 20 days of their life, and are supplied with food by their parents. 38. Finally, some species of synalpheus shrimps are eusocial, living in colonies with one or a few breeders of each sex together with non-breeders that defend the colony. 39. Fish. Pregnant male seahorse. Several groups of fish have evolved parental care. The ratio of fish genera that exhibit male-only, biparental, female-only care is 9:3:1. 40. Some fish such as pipefish, sea dragons and seahorses, Syngnathidae, have a form of male pregnancy, where the female takes no part in caring for the young once she has laid her eggs. 41. 42. Males in other species may take a role in guarding the eggs before they hatch. Mouthbrooding is the care given by some groups of fish and a few other animals such as Darwin's frog to their offspring by holding them in their mouth for extended periods of time. Mouthbrooding has evolved independently in several different families of fish including the cardinal fish, sea catfish, bagrid catfish, cichlids, snakeheads, jawfishes, gouramis, and arowanas. 43. Amphibians. There is an equal prevalence of female-only and male-only care in amphibians. However, biparental care is uncommon. 44. Provisioning in this animal group tends to be rare, and offspring guarding is more prevalent. For example, in the frog species Vibrans toadlet, male frogs are left to care for the nest. Parental care after the laying of eggs has been observed in 5% of Sicilian species, 18% of salamander species and 6% of frog species. 45. Though this number is likely an underestimate due to taxonomic bias in research. 46. And the cryptic nature of many species. 47. 6 modes of parental care are recognized among the amphibia, in different species: egg attendance, egg transport, tadpole attendance, tadpole transport, tadpole feeding, and internal gestation in the oviduct, viviparity and ovoviviparity. 45. Many species also care for offspring, either eggs or tadpoles, in specially adapted structures of their body. For example, the male pouched frog of eastern Australia protects tadpoles in pouches on the lateral surface of their skin. 48. The gastric brooding frog raised tadpoles, and potentially eggs, in their stomach. 49. And the common Suriname toad raises eggs embedded in the skin on its back. Reptiles. Unlike most reptiles, crocodilians care for their young even after they have hatched. 50. Reptiles provide less parental care than other tetrapods. When it does occur, it is usually female-only or biparental care. 51. Many species within this group produce offspring that are self-sufficient, and are able to regulate their body temperatures and forage for themselves immediately after birth, thereby eliminating the need for parental care. Maternal care exists in crocodilians, where the mother assists hatchlings by transporting them in her mouth from the nest to the water. She may stay with the young for up to several months. 52. Parental behavior have also been observed in Cunningham's skink, a viviparous lizard that protects its offspring against predators. 53. Birds. Birds are distinctive in the way they care for their young. 90% of bird species display biparental care, including 9% of species with alloparental care, or helpers at the nest. 9. Biparental care may have originated in the stem reptiles, archosaurs, that gave rise to the birds, before they developed flight. 54. In the remainder of bird species, female-only care is prevalent, and male-only care is rare. 9. 23. Most birds, including passerines, perching birds, have their young born blind, naked and helpless, altricial, totally dependent for their survival on parental care. The young are typically raised in a nest. The parents catch food and regurgitate it for the young. Some birds such as pigeons create a crop milk, which they similarly regurgitate. 55. David Lack developed the hypothesis that clutch size has evolved in response to the costs of parental care known as Lack's principle. It has since seen modifications but is still used as a general model. Mammals. Harbor seal mother suckling its young. Japanese snow monkey mother grooming her young. There is maternal care in all species of mammals, and while 95% of species exhibit female-only care, in only 5% biparental care is present. Thus, there are no known cases of male-only care in mammals. 56. The major adaptation shared by all live-bearing mammals for care of their young after birth is lactation, the feeding of milk from the mammary glands. Further, many mammals exhibit other parental care behaviors to increase the fitness of their offspring, for example, building a den, feeding, guarding, carrying, huddling, grooming and teaching their young. 57. 58. Others, consider also as a type of care when males provision the pregnant females. 59. Humans. Human parental care extends far beyond providing food and protection. Here a father teaches his son how to surf. Parenting or child rearing in humans is the process of promoting and supporting the physical, emotional, social, financial, and intellectual development of a child from infancy to adulthood. This goes far beyond anything found in other animals, including not only the provision of food, shelter, and protection from threats such as predators, but a prolonged period of support during which a child learns whatever is needed to live successfully in human society. 60. In evolutionary biology. In evolutionary biology, parental investment is the expenditure of time and effort towards rearing offspring that benefits the offspring's evolutionary fitness at a cost to parents' ability to invest in other components of the species' fitness. Parental care requires resources from one or both parents that increases the fitness of their offspring and of themselves. 61. 59. These resources thus cannot be invested in the parent's own survival, growth or future reproduction. Therefore, parental care will only evolve in a species that requires care. Some animal groups produce self-sufficient young and thus no parental care is required. For species that do require care, trade-offs exist in regards to where parental investment should be directed and how much care should be provided, since resources and time are limited. 62. For example, if the strategy of parental care involves parents choosing to give each of a relatively small number of offspring an increased chance of surviving to reproduce themselves, they may accordingly have evolved to produce a small number of zygotes at a time, possibly only one. 63-64 The ideal amount of parental investment would guarantee the survival and quality of both broods. 23 Parents need to trade off investment into current and future reproductive events, since parental care increases offspring survival at the expense of the parent's ability to invest in future broods. Nonetheless, there is some evidence suggesting that in mammals preventing male care actually leads to more fecund females, and thus caring for the offspring can lead to having more number of litters. 59. Predation on offspring and species habitat type are two potential proximate causes for the evolution of parental care. 2. Generally, parental care is expected to evolve from a previous state of no care when the costs of providing care are outweighed by the benefits to a caring parent. For example, if the benefit of increased offspring survival or quality exceed the decreased chance of survival and future reproductive success of the parent, then parental care may evolve. Therefore, parental care is favored when it is required by offspring, and the benefits of care are high. 3 types of parental care and the amount of resources invested by parents vary considerably across the animal kingdom. The evolution of male-only, female-only, biparental or alloparental care in different groups of animals may be driven by multiple factors. Firstly, different groups may have diverse physiological or evolutionary constraints that may predispose one sex to care more than the other. 62 For example, mammary glands may make female mammals pre-adapted to exclusively provide nutritional care to young. 65 Secondly, the costs and benefits of care by each sex may be influenced by ecological conditions and mating opportunities. Thirdly, operational and adult sex ratios may influence which sex has more mating opportunities, and thus predisposes one sex to care more. Furthermore, parenting decisions may be influenced by the confidence of either sex in being the genetic parent of the offspring, or paternity certainty. 65. Which sex provides care? The type of mating system may influence which sex provides care. In monogamous species that establish long-term pair bonds, parents are likely to cooperate in caring for their offspring. In polyandrous mating systems, paternal or male-only care tends to evolve. Conversely, polygynous mating systems are associated with little or no male contribution. Males rarely provide care for offspring in promiscuous mating systems, since there is high paternity uncertainty. 66-67. Male care is most prevalent in species with external fertilization, while female care is more common with internal fertilization. 68 Explanations include the suggestion by Trivers, 1972, that this depends on paternity certainty, 61 which may be less with internal fertilization unless the male undertakes mate guarding until the female lays eggs or gives birth. 69. A second explanation is Richard Dawkins and T.R. Carlyle's 1976 theory that the order of gamete release, and therefore the opportunity for each parent to desert, may influence which sex provides care. 70 Internal fertilization may provide the male parent with an opportunity to desert first, as is seen in some bird and mammal species. The roles may be reversed with external fertilization. In fish, males often wait until a female lays her eggs before he can fertilize them, to prevent his small gametes from floating away. This allows the female to desert first, and leave male parents to care forth eggs. 62. Thirdly, George C. Williams's 1975 hypothesis indicates that an association with the embryos may predispose one sex to care for the offspring. With internal fertilization occurring in the mother, the female parent is most closely associated with the embryo, and may be pre-adapted to care for the young. With external fertilization, eggs are often laid by the female in a male's territory. 71 Male territoriality is particularly common with external fertilization. Therefore, the male is most closely associated with the embryos. Males may defend their territories and thereby incidentally defend their eggs and young. This may pre-adapt males to provide care. Male care consequently involves less opportunity costs in this case, since males can still attract mates while simultaneously guarding territory and eggs. Females may even be more attracted to, and preferentially select to mate with, males that already have eggs in their nest. 72. Male territoriality with internal fertilization exists in some bird species. Nest size and nest building behavior are two sexually selected traits that may attract a female to a male's territory for mating. Since the female lays her eggs in the nest within the male's territory, paternal care may evolve, even though fertilization is internal. 73. Amount of care. Mother and child in the woods. Increasing parental investment in any one young benefits that particular offspring, but decreases resources for other offspring, possibly decreasing parental fitness. 62. Hence, a trade-off exists between offspring quantity and quality within a brood. 23. If a parent disperses its limited resources thinly among too many offspring, then few will survive. Alternatively, if the parent uses its resources too generously among one small brood, this reduces the ability of the parent to invest in future broods. 74. Therefore, there is a theoretical optimal brood size that maximizes productivity for each brood. 62. In groups with biparental care, there is sexual conflict over how much care should be provided. If either parent is temporarily removed, the other parent may increase its work rate. 75. This demonstrates that both parents have the capacity to work harder and provide greater levels of care. One parent may be tempted to cheat, relying on the other parent. In biparental care, the key theoretical prediction is that parents should respond to reduced partner effort with incomplete compensation. A parent who does not put in their fair share of work then suffers reduced fitness, because their offspring receive less resources from both parents. This has been experimentally demonstrated with birds. 76. Flexibility of parental care. Parental care may vary in relation to costs and benefits. When one parent is not sufficient, both parents may need to care for offspring. Each parent would like to minimize the level of care they must invest at the expense of the other parent. If one parent were to die or cease providing care, then the remaining partner may be obliged to desert the eggs or young. The extent of parental care provided to a current brood may also be influenced by prospects of future reproduction. Field experiments on a passerine bird species indicated that in areas where broods were fed with extra carotenoids, their mouths became redder. This consequently enhanced their begging displays and led parents to increase their provisioning. This was likely because the redder mouths indicated that offspring were healthier, and thus worth investing in. In other territories, the adults were also provided carotenoid-rich sugar diets, which increased the likelihood of them having a second brood in that season. Since parents that had second broods did not respond to the increased begging signals of their current brood, this indicates that parents strategically vary their sensitivity to their current brood's demands in relation to their future prospects of reproducing in that season. 77. The act of eating one's own offspring, or filial cannibalism, may be an adaptive behavior for a parent to use as an extra source of food. Parents may eat part of a brood to enhance the parental care of the current brood. Alternatively, parents may eat the whole brood to cut their losses and improve their future reproductive success. 78. Parental care may vary in relation to mate attractiveness. In theory, a parent should invest more when paired with a mate of a high phenotypic or genetic quality. This is explained by the differential allocation hypothesis. 79. This was shown through experimentation on zebra finches. Males were made more attractive to females by experimentally giving them red leg bands. Females increased their provisioning and raised more young when paired with these attractive males compared to when they were paired with less attractive males that had blue or green leg bands. 80. Further experimentation on mallard ducks has displayed that females lay larger eggs and increase their provisioning when paired with more attractive males. 81. Female peacocks have also been shown to lay more eggs after mating with males that possess more elaborate tails. 82. Furthermore, female birds are generally more likely to care for the offspring of males that spend more time nest building, and build more elaborate nests. As a consequence, the reproductive success of males tends to increase with nest size and building behavior. 83. Therefore, differential allocation is expected because the offspring of these pairings would likely inherit the quality of the attractive parent, if attractiveness signifies genetic quality. Differential allocation may also work the other way around, where parents may invest less in their offspring if paired with unattractive mates. By reducing the amount of care invested in these offspring, individuals may save resources for future reproductive attempts with a more attractive mate. 84. Differential allocation is mostly expected from females, since in many animal groups females are more choosy when assessing potential mates. However, in many bird species, males are known to be involved in caring for young, which may lead to differential allocation by males as well as females. 80. References. 1. Coco, H. and Jenions, MD 2008. Mate desertion. Mate desertion occurs when one or both parents abandon their current offspring, and thereby reduce or stop providing parental care. Often, by deserting, a parent attempts to increase breeding opportunities by seeking out another mate. This form of mating strategy behavior is exhibited in insects, birds and mammals. Typically, males are more likely to desert, but both males and females have been observed to practice mate desertion. Evolutionary theory. Conflict-driving mate desertion. Mate desertion involves the decision by an already mated individual to either continue providing parental care or to desert. 1. In making this decision, a parent must balance investment in terms of current and future reproductive success, choosing the optimal strategy, or one that provides the greatest net benefit towards lifetime reproductive success. Current success is measured by the number of surviving offspring, whereas future success is measured by the potential to successfully produce offspring in future seasons. 2. These trade-offs between costs and benefits are further reflected in the two major conflicts driving mate desertion. 1. Parent-offspring conflict over the level of parental investment that a parent should provide, and 2. Sexual conflict between mates over who should provide care and how much care should be provided. According to evolutionary biologist Robert Trivers, parental investment is defined as any investment by the parent in an individual offspring that increases the offspring's chance of surviving, and hence reproductive success, at the cost of the parent's ability to invest in other offspring. 2. This investment includes investing in gametes and feeding and protecting young, which is also known as brooding. Often, the amount of parental investment necessary to maximize fitness differs between parent and offspring, thereby creating parent-offspring conflict. While increasing parental investment increases the current offspring's likelihood to survive and reproduce, this investment comes at the expense of the parent's ability to invest in future offspring. Therefore, when uniparental care is equally effective as biparental care, natural selection will favor mate desertion, allowing the deserter to either remate or conserve resources for future reproduction. However, the decision of which mate deserts first and when creates varying reproductive outcomes for both males and females, leading to sexual conflict over parental investment. This occurs because the deserted organism pays all costs of parental care while the deserter not only shares the benefits of the reproductive success of the current offspring, but also gains benefits from additional mating opportunities. 3. Theoretically, both males and females would be expected to evolve adaptations in response to this sexual conflict, which would ultimately lead to sexually antagonistic coevolution between male and female traits. Elaborate nest of a penduline tit. In penduline tits, Remes pendulinus, uniparental care is dominant, and either sex is capable of desertion during the egg-laying period. Typically, females care 50–70% of the time, males care 5–20% of the time, and both parents desert 30–40% of the time, condemning the offspring to death. 4. In this system, males build elaborate nests and usually desert once these nests have been filled with the female's eggs. 3. As a result, in response, females have adopted two counter-adaptive behaviors that function to deceive the male regarding the clutch's progress. Females conceal their eggs by burying them and aggressively attack males who approach the nest during the egg-laying period. Studies have shown a high correlation between length of time a male stays before deserting and number of days a female keeps her eggs buried. 5. This relationship suggests that egg burial has evolved as an adaptive female behavior that attempts to control information males use to decide whether or not they should desert. Response to desertion. Females. 3. As a result, in response, females have adopted two counter-adaptive behaviors that function to deceive the male regarding the clutch's progress. Females conceal their eggs by burying them and aggressively attack males who approach the nest during the egg-laying period. Studies have shown a high correlation between length of time a male stays before deserting and number of days a female keeps her eggs buried. 5. This relationship suggests that egg burial has evolved as an adaptive female behavior that attempts to control information males use to decide whether or not they should desert. Response to desertion. After one partner deserts, the remaining partner has three options. First, it may attempt to raise the young on its own. This usually occurs when the investment required by one parent to successfully raise the current offspring to maturity is less than that needed to produce new offspring. As a result, the remaining partner is forced into a situation Trivers coined as cruel bind. 6. Here, the deserter effectively forces its partner to stay, gaining the benefit of the deserted parent's continued investment at the cost of additional mating opportunities for the deserted parent. Second, if the cost of raising offspring alone is high and the cost of remating is low, the deserted individual may choose to desert the offspring as well and attempt to breed again. 2. In some cases, the second deserter may even take part in filial cannibalism, reaping its lost investment by eating its own offspring as nourishment. For example, in scissortail sergeantfish, abutifif sex fasciatus, male parental care is dominant, and males undergo brood cycling in which they alternate between mating and parental phases. When broods are artificially reduced early in the breeding phase, male scissortail sergeants are more likely to cannibalize eggs and return to the mating phase, primarily because reduced broods indicate decreased current reproductive success. 7. Lastly, a deserted individual may also attempt to trick another mate into helping provide care for its young, circumventing its cruel bind. 2. For instance, a female who cuckolds a male, deceiving him into raising another male's offspring, benefits by reducing the amount of care she must provide and by conserving resources for future reproduction. In response, the evolution of counter-adaptations that allow males to guard against female deception would be expected, as it is evolutionarily maladaptive for an organism to invest in unrelated offspring. 2. Patterns of mate desertion. When broods are artificially reduced early in the breeding phase, male scissortail sergeants are more likely to cannibalize eggs and return to the mating phase, primarily because reduced broods indicate decreased current reproductive success. 7. Lastly, a deserted individual may also attempt to trick another mate into helping provide care for its young, circumventing its cruel bind. 2. For instance, a female who cuckolds a male, deceiving him into raising another male's offspring, benefits by reducing the amount of care she must provide and by conserving resources for future reproduction. In response, the evolution of counter-adaptations that allow males to guard against female deception would be expected, as it is evolutionarily maladaptive for an organism to invest in unrelated offspring. 2. Patterns of mate desertion. Explanations. 2 explanations have been proposed as evidence for why mate desertion by males is more commonly observed in nature. First, costs in lost mating opportunities are higher in males than in females. 8. Because males have greater variance in reproductive success, their lifetime reproductive success depends more on number of mating opportunities. 9. And thus they often benefit more from desertion. Second, mode of fertilization often influences degree of parental care, which in turn influences which sex will desert. Generally speaking, male parental care is predicted by external fertilization, and female parental care is predicted by internal fertilization. This pattern of parental care is best explained by the association hypothesis, which argues that association with embryos predisposes a sex for parental care. 8. For example, in species where mate desertion by males is prominent, females reproduce through internal fertilization and are thus responsible for carrying the eggs. While this intimate connection allows the female to offer better care for her offspring, the male's comparative separation makes him much less likely to be able to adequately care for his young. Furthermore, inherent to internal fertilization is the fact that it is impossible for females to desert because they are the sex-bearing offspring. Under this theory, females are often not in a position to leave their young, while males can leave and have much less to offer by sticking around. Conversely, in organisms that practice external fertilization, including certain species of fish, males are often the primary caretakers for young. Factors influencing mate desertion. Natural selection tends to favor desertion when costs are low and benefits are high. Benefits include increased mating opportunities in the same breeding season and reduced energetic costs associated with parental care, whereas costs include decreased mating opportunities and reduced future reproductive success. Both the timing and probability of mate desertion have been shown to be influenced by a variety of factors. For instance, desertion by either sex is favored when remating opportunities are high, food for young is abundant, predation is low, current offspring are older, require little parental investment and are smaller than average size, and the deserter's contribution to parental care is low. 1:10. Another factor that has been shown to influence probability of mate desertion is a biased operational sex ratio, which is defined as the ratio of sexually active males to sexually active females. In convict cichlid fish, males are more likely to desert when there is a female-biased sex ratio, as males have a higher chance of remating and increasing reproductive success. Furthermore, probability of male desertion in this particular species is also increased where there is low predation. High predation leads to biparental care for offspring survival, mature offspring, and smaller than average offspring size. 8. In another population of cichlids, Equidens coruleopunctatus, brood reduction leading to earlier male mate desertion has also been observed, and here, by deserting, not only does the male save energy, but he also increases his chance of breeding and thus his reproductive success as well. 10. Cooper's hawk. Similarly, in Cooper's hawks, female desertion of offspring has been found to be closely related to both the likelihood of offspring survival and future reproductive success. Females in weak physical condition are more likely to abandon offspring to complete migration, increasing breeding chances and opportunities for the following year. 11. In whiskered terns, the majority of deserters are female and is related to provisioning rate. Females providing more food were less likely to desert. 12. In mammals, aardwolves have been shown to practice male mate desertion in response to female promiscuity. 13. Lastly, ambisexual mate desertion, in which both sexes desert at nearly equal frequencies, has been observed in snail kites. Mate desertion by either sex depends on food supply, in that snail kites are more likely to desert when snails are abundant and rate of nesting success is high. Thus, mating strategies exhibited by snail kites are somewhat plastic, depending on varying environmental conditions. 14. Game theory. Lazarus's model of mate desertion. Case 1. Because V2 greater than V1 plus M or F, neither parent gains any reproductive advantage by deserting their mate. For both parents, reproductive fitness equals V2. V represents reproductive success, see text for more details. Case 2. At T1, the male benefits from deserting the brood because V1 plus M greater than V2. At this point, the female's fitness equals V1. At T2, the female benefits from deserting the brood because V0 plus F greater than V1. At this point, the male's fitness equals V0 plus M, and the female's fitness equals V0 plus F. V represents reproductive success, see text for more details. Case 3. At T1, the male benefits from deserting the brood because V1 plus M greater than V2. At this point, the female's fitness equals V1. After this, the female cannot improve her fitness past V1 by deserting, so she chooses to stay and provide care. V represents reproductive success, see text for more details. Game theory helps explain when parents are more or less likely to desert their offspring by taking into account the costs and benefits associated with these decisions. John Lazarus developed a well-known game theory model for mate desertion, in which different outcomes are predicted using a payoff matrix. In this particular model, the benefits of desertion depend both on the ability of the deserter to gain additional mating opportunities and on the deserted partner's strategy. 1. Lazarus's model of mate desertion defines conditions that lead to 3 possible cases: 1. Both parents stay, 2. Both parents desert, or 3. One parent stays and one parent deserts. If both parents stay with the offspring, then neither gains the benefits from deserting their mate. If both parents desert, each individual will do so at a time offering them maximal benefit based on when the other parent leaves. If only one parent deserts, then the deserter will leave at a time when benefits are high and costs are low. Variables are used to describe the different fitness levels achieved by each parent. V0. Reproductive success obtained when no parents care for the young. V1. Reproductive success obtained when only one parent cares for the young. For the purpose of simplicity, model assumes that V1 is the same for both male-only and female-only care. V2. Reproductive success obtained when both parents care for the young. M. Males benefit from deserting. F. Females benefit from deserting. In case 1, both parents choose to stay. For either the male or the female, the total payoff for the deserter V1 plus M or V1 plus F is less than the reproductive success obtained when both parents provide care V2. Therefore, neither benefits from deserting. Case 2 arises when both parents desert. Normally, the payoff for desertion is higher for one sex than the other. This model assumes that males benefit more from desertion than do females. M greater than F, though this is not the case for all species. When the payoff a male receives by deserting V1 plus M exceeds the reproductive success of providing care V2 for the young, he should desert. At this point, the male's reproductive success is V1 plus M, and the female's reproductive success is V1. Eventually the payoff for a female deserting V0 plus F will exceed the benefits of caring alone V1. At this point, she is also expected to desert, leaving the brood with no parental care. Lastly, case 3 occurs when one parent deserts, and the other stays. In this model, because of the assumption that M greater than F, the male will desert first when the payoff of deserting V1 plus M is greater than the benefits of investing in offspring V2. At this point, the male's reproductive success is V1 plus M, and the female's reproductive success is V1. However, in contrast to case 2, the female will never benefit by deserting because the payoff V0 plus F never exceeds the benefits obtained by caring alone V1. Consequently, in situations where the female's benefits of deserting are low, she will remain to raise her brood, maximizing her reproductive success. References.